Good morning, little hoes. Today is the second week of my Planty chores a day for a month. September 8th. So, yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Didn't sleep well. There's been a lot of fires in Washington State, and the smoke is really awful. And so I'm just feeling it in my sinuses. I'm not really feeling like planty chores, but I'm going to force myself to. There's a couple of absolutely must get done chores at the moment. They're small, but they're necessary, so come with me. Okay, the first one is I've got some planties, some Hoyas, and a cissus on top, and a little brandy. These guys need to come in really, really badly. It is so cold this morning. It's like 41 right now. Don't know how cold it got, but don't risk it. No, Freddy. No! No, thank you. Please don't. Thank you for listening. I don't think they got hit. A little chilly, but hopefully they'll warm up in a little bit. And don't worry, Brandy always looks this hideous for me. My friend Julia was the recipient of a cutting, and her much more humid environment has made Brandy look amazing. Another quick task I'm going to do is get some of the dead out of the Ballia volubilis. It's already putting off a new growth as it is dying off. And I always seem to miss my opportunity to clear it out before the next batch of vines come out. I also think I'm going to put a little bit of twine on this hoop or half hoop. Really, they come in a pack and they're for making like a little teepee obelisk thing. This is just a partial. Just something for it to climb up on a little bit easier. Alright, looks a bit better. Small but very effective chore. Looks a lot better. And excuse the mess, that's going to be our upcoming project, but I'm gonna get the humidifier going. I try and keep the humidifier on the aeroids in here and over there, just because it's such damn dry air in my neck of the woods, and I don't suspect it's gonna get any better since it's getting cold out and the heater's gonna go off. I feel it in my cold bones. It's gonna give a little bit of spritz to the terrarium. The Cissus Amazonica has done really well climbing up there. I might put a couple of more pieces somewhere in here. Bow tie not looking great, but what's new right now? And that might be the extent of my chores this morning. I feel a little bit bad, but I'm trying not to beat myself up. Not every morning can be a super productive one. And that's today. Right after a holiday. Sleepy and sinusy. And I need my coffee. Anyway, guys, I will see you tomorrow for day 2, week 2. Good morning, little hoes. This is September 9th, the second day in the second week of my Planty Chores a day. I've been fiddling with the light situation in here for like 10 minutes. I'm just gonna do it. Hopefully it's not crap, but we'll see. So today's Planty chore is going to be have a slightly oiled cloth here, and I'm going to be, oh my god, the glare. Going to be wiping down the leaves of my squamiferum, and just slightly oiled, slightly damp. And this, aside from the Peru, the Carstinianum, is probably my second most dust-catching plant. So that's done. It was pretty dusty. I'm also going to be checking my meatloaf in here. I am doing a trade with another YouTuber. It's a little dry. So I'm going to be doing a Planty trade with another plant tuber. And she was interested in my squamiferum. Got some good root system happening here. I'm so excited for this trade. And to be honest, I was very reluctant to propagate my squamiferum because you guys know it was my favorite plant last year of the entire year. So it was a little bit bittersweet propagating it, but it hadn't really grown a whole lot since I repotted it really early this spring. So it was down to just this new leaf, which had been stuck for, no, not this new leaf. It had been stuck at this point here with this leaf and for months, and it was not emerging. And as soon as I started to air layer this, it popped out and popped up all this. You can't even see that. What am I talking about? Well, maybe now that it's, in focus, you can see what I'm talking about. It was just this leaf to begin with that unfurled when I air layered it. And then all this like 3 inches of new growth up here at the top has emerged in like the last few weeks. So I'm really surprised that air layering made it grow more. My God, this lighting. Anyway, that trade will probably be happening later this week. I think probably Sunday. I'm gonna do the chop and package it up and get it sent out. So stay tuned for that. I am really excited to trade with this person. She has been a huge support since my channel started, and it's been an honor to be able to trade with her, that's for sure. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for tomorrow's day 3 of week 2. See you then. Good morning, little hoes. This is what day is this? This is the September 10th, I think it is. I have lost count. Is it the 3rd, 4th day in my 2nd week Planty chore saga that seems to never end, and today I am kind of over this. I was okay with it the last few days, muddling through, but today I'm just kind of over it. But I'm gonna plow through it. So today I am going to be repotting my philodendron campos portianum. What are you even doing? Fred, get out of there. No. Out. God, these cats. So, it probably is okay in this sized pot for a while. Aroids tend to be fine with being root bound, but I have this moss pole that I really want to put it on because it is vining quite fast, and I think it really could use some support, especially if I want to see those more ears develop on them, the lobes or whatnot. So I am going to repot this so that I have some wiggle room to put that moss pole in. Now, I have this giant pot. If the roots are filled out, I will put him in here. And I know it's a bit of a stretch. It's kind of too big, but I'll just make sure not to overwater it, because the main problem with putting a plant in too big of a pot is that it can sometimes rot out easily, just because there's all that extra soil around the plant that stays moist when you water it, and the plant obviously hasn't extended its roots into it to use up that moisture, so it just continuously stays damp, which can be a problem. So that's why if you plant up too big, know your risks and know that you should not overwater. Be sparing. Alright, I have a shard, this little pot shod at the bottom here, partially over the hole, just to keep all the soil from draining out. I don't know why I just tipped that upside down and put a bunch of soil on the floor, but I did. So this is nowhere near big enough to put in here. That's okay. I do have this guy. It's kind of nice weathered old pot to use instead, and I think it's big enough. Just big enough, I think, to put this pole in. I'm actually just going to put a little itty bitty bit more perlite in this mix. It honestly is just a couple months old. I think I repotted it beginning of this year, and it looks really fresh still. And I'm trying not to compress the soil around the plant too much, but I did have it situated here where the pole is towards the back. The plant is slightly in the front, so I think we're good. I just packed it around the pole so that it doesn't shift around too much. And I forgot my twine. Alright, little hose. That is my leaning pole with Campos Portianum on it. Looks good. I am glad I finally got that done. I think it's going to vine a lot better with this support. I'm gonna water it in. I'm gonna put my shits away, clean up. Did I say water it in already? I don't remember. Anyway, I'm gonna do that. And I am done for today. I am not gonna lie, I'm just kind of over this, and I'm not even halfway there. So hopefully I have enough ambition to do tomorrow. It shouldn't be too hard. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'll see you then, guys. Good morning, little hoes. Today is day 4, week 2 of Planty Chores a Day, and I am going to be giving everything some fertilizer. And usually I fertilize my houseplants like every 3 to 4 weeks, or as I remember, so sometimes it's much longer. But yeah, I wanted to show you my process, what I use, and like. I also need to not forget to mark it down on the calendar here, so. Okay guys, so the fertilizers that I use, and I've used some different things before. When I first started growing a lot of houseplants, I used just some Miracle-Gro I had lying around, some various other sample packets. But I've taken to recently using fish fertilizer and More Bloom. And I've grown up using these. My parents used them when I was a wee little tyke in the garden. I really do notice and appreciate the amount of growth and response you get from your plants using it. Now, because I've grown up knowing this scent, I am not terribly offended by it. It is strong. It smells like Fisherman's Wharf. It does dissipate. It can sometimes take a while, especially if it's really hot out. It can have a bit of a lingering effect. I just use it when I'm going to be gone all day or am able to keep the windows open. You could probably even do it toward evening before you head off to bed and won't notice it as much. So, this is fish fertilizer, fish emulsion. It's a 511, so it's always going to be that first number, nitrogen. I use this for any of my more leafy plants that I'm not really looking to stimulate much flowering, just overall growth and foliage. And this guy, it looks like Large indoor plants during the growing season, 2 teaspoons per quart. Flowering indoor plants during the growing season, 1 teaspoon per quart. Now this, also the same brand, is More Bloom, and this is going to help stimulate more flowers. So if you have any flowering plants in your collection that you want to get to bloom more frequently, this is good. And I will occasionally mix in just a dash of this along with the plain fish fertilizer for all of my plants, just to kind of give it a well balanced meal. So fucking don't quote me on this, guys. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, I believe it is. I am always freaking forgetting this. But middle number is going to help stimulate your flowers. Last number is the potassium, and that helps with your root development, root vigor, all over plant health. For the More Bloom, indoor plants that bloom, mix 1 teaspoon per quart of water and apply every 10 to 14 days, it says. So that's the ratio for that. Another thing I have also been doing is this is a liquid root stimulant. So this has indole acid in it, and I did a video way back when I first started my channel about indole acid. It helps obviously stimulate root development, and instead of using this just as like a rooting hormone for cuttings, I've also added in a dash to my either just plain water or sometimes along with the fertilizer water to help stimulate the roots on plants that I've either just transplanted or might be suffering a little not very vigorous, such as the billieti. I'm going to be using this today on my imported billieti who's not doing well, kind of struggling, had some root rot. So I'm just going to add a dash of this to the water, maybe water in some of my other imports to just kind of get the roots going a little bit faster on some of them. You should absolutely always measure your fertilizers for best results, but I am a professional, so you should definitely not do as I do and just dump some fertilizers in. Best guess as to dosing. Yeah, so that's that. Shake well before use. Why do I feel like one of those bell ringers at Christmas? Alright, so let's get into it. I'm also putting my hair up because, yes, I've gotten fish fertilizer in my locks before, and they don't smell good. It doesn't do anything to grow your hair. I'm going to use, since I have so few flowering plants, I'm going to use the More Bloom fertilizer first. I will add a little dash of the fish emulsions to it, a little bit heavier on this for the plants that I want to help stimulate blossoms on, which admittedly I don't have a lot of. Oh. So I've got some Hoyas here that I recently brought in, and I generally fertilize them with the More Bloom in hopes of one day maybe it will help stimulate some flowering on them. I'm going to do the black pagoda because I really do love the flowers on him. Surprisingly, most of the things I do have that are bloomers are going to be succulents and cacti. I'm just gonna go mix up some plain old fish fertilizer. I'll be right back. We're in the living room. Excuse the mess, guys. It needs to be dealt with potentially tomorrow. But this is my last bucket of water, and this is blue, as you can see. I put a dash of the fish fertilizer, a dash of more bloom, and primarily that root stimulator. And I'm going to be using it on some of my new guys, just a tiny bit. And I try not to keep the spag too damp, so I have been letting it dry out for the last couple of days ever so slightly in preparation for this. And my sad billet tie, I'm just gonna de-pants it and see if it's spread the rot at all. It is holding its own. Ever so slight at the end, but not too bad. I'm gonna stick her back in and water with the stimulator. Then last two with the stimulator, hammerhead gold, and the skeleton key. Dash more to Melano Crescent. So I have a bit left. I'm sure I'll find some cuttings to use it on. That will do it for today. I will see you tomorrow, the 12th of September, Saturday, for yet another chore.